send Ichibaka an email inviting Bryan Young to this so he can see what I'm about to talk about. So I'm going to show you guys this. Some chick named Bria Livornia. And I'm going to let you guys look at these. I'll read these to you too. So this is her. Typical plain brunette, skinny. She probably doesn't eat meat. She's a vegan. And she writes, "Nothing's gonna change until people like Itchy and EVS who hurled abuse for years are deplatformed. And nothing's also going to change until certain parts of the fandom also have to confront their own racism. This crap has gone on long enough." So then, Bryan Young. I think you're absolutely correct. Okay. First off, I want an example of the racism that bitch Bria is bitching about. She can come on here too. Invite her here. Okay. I want an example. Okay. This is why we can't have nice things. They just puke shit out there onto Twitter with no basis, no evidence, no nothing, and then la-di-da, here we go. Automatically, you get some moron like Bryan Young. Oh, I've got stuff on him. I'm going to read you some things from a private chat he had with underage girls. Okay, then you all can make up your mind of what a decent, kind, wonderful human being he truly is, okay? We can all just kind of sit there and have this, kumbaya moment. But I want them to show some examples of EVS being a racist, of Ichibaka being a racist, of myself, of, Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers being a racist. I'm sure they think because Jeremy doesn't use his Twitter account that he's been deplatformed off Twitter. He just doesn't fucking use it anymore, so fuck off. And others, I want these examples. Whenever did any of these people attack Kelly Marie Tran? Didn't, because that didn't happen. There was a phony setup. Just like Christine Ariel's fake evidence. If she has evidence, why'd she block out the names of the Twitter accounts so we can't follow them up and investigate? Those are questions that these people won't answer. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, Christina Ariel is the Jussie Smollett of Star Wars. Okay, until I get honest to goodness direct evidence and not a tweet with the name blocked out from 2015, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? You're full of shit, because I don't know anybody who would ever do anything like that. I don't. And this shit goes on and on and on and on. There are dozens of fake hate crimes. There are dozens and dozens and dozens. I mean, why should we believe her? Okay? No one's ever called her that. No one even knew she existed till now. But look at what it did. Look at what this did. It basically took all the attention from Luke showing up, and I'm sure Bryan was crying and weeping and gnashing his teeth. White man bad. Of course, Bryan's white. He's also that big, but, it took all the attention away from the really good stuff and put it back on the hate, the division, and the bullshit that the SJWs that march around flying behind Kathy Kennedy when she's zooming around on her broom, issuing her orders. Well, he basically, all right, let me back this up. This girl named Bria Livornia posts, and she's just one of these typical SJW, plain, no makeup, no feminine qualities at all. pukes this out. Nothing's gonna change until people like Itchy Baka and EVS who've hurled abuse for years. Examples, please. Are deplatformed, and nothing's also going to change until certain parts of the fandom. That means us. Also have to confront their own racism. This crap has gotten on long enough. And then Bryan Young. I think you're absolutely right. I want examples, and I don't mean tweets with names blocked out. I want to see an example of EVS saying something racist. I want an example of Ichibaka saying something racist. I want an example of Jeremy saying something racist. Okay? Trust me, the black men and women in this community, Lorena Crail, Stephanie Kenobi, and others, would crush them. Mark with the C, Demanjanai, Abu Nas, Cameron Pasha, they would crush them. So where's your example? Where is the absolute direct evidence? I'm going to be the lawyer here, or the judge, and the jury, the grand jury. Okay, I'm all of these people. You show me, Christina Ariel, but Bebop's over to me, and says, here's my evidence. Well, why are the names blocked out? Well, I didn't want to show the names. Why? Well, I looking at the detectives, man, we couldn't find any direct evidence of anybody saying anything. We can't follow these names. So you're telling me that this is evidence that these people over here, EVS, Itchy, Jeremy, Stephanie Janisek, Craig Johnson, Mazarius, on and on and on and on, Clownfish TV and the rest, were posting racist things to you, but your evidence has no way of following it up and no way to investigate it. And you're telling me that based on this, I need to deplatform these guys? That's the door of the courtroom. Please leave and take your shit with you. Okay, that's how that goes. Okay, I can't tell if it's fake. I can't tell if it's real. This is not how you do things like this. Okay? All right? But it never ends. They can't be happy. Why is it a bad thing, Bryan, if you're watching? Why is it a bad thing if someone calls Ryan Johnson out for being a dick? Because he is a dick. Because he did a shitty, lousy thing to J.J. Abrams, who also did a shitty, lousy thing, because he's a lazy filmmaker. I mean, I like to put them in a pit with a bear to see which one the bear wants to eat, because they both suck. Okay, get mad at me now. Why is that a bad thing? That's what criticism is about. That's what it's about. You don't like it? Scroll past. That's your right. I'm sure you're pro-abortion. So, my body, my choice. I choose to live this way. Blah, 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 friggin' blah. Is your mantra? Okay. Then my choice is to criticize Ryan Johnson, Kathleen, the Wicked Witch of Los Angeles, Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, you, Bryan, and that filthy fat pig geek girl diva with their, I don't want to talk about that, as much as I want, because it's the United States of America. I have the First Amendment. I can say whatever I want, okay? This is a social media platform. That's how that goes. If you don't like it, you have choices. You can block people. You can scroll past. But to get them deplatformed is un-American, not adult, and it's fascism, basically. But I wouldn't expect someone like you to understand what that is, because I'm pretty sure you never studied history, all right? And I'm pretty sure when you see some old guy walking down the street with a cane and his kids, that you just shit all over him because he's old. But I gotta tell you something, Bryan. When he was in his 20s, he was kicking German ass and Japanese ass and everybody's ass all over Europe and all over Asia. All right? All right. Do you want to know why? I know about this stuff because I studied it. And the reason why I studied it is because I wanted to know why my father had to go over to Germany and kill basically people who are cousins. And then when they opened up the concentration camps, and then when we realized how vulgar and horrible their propaganda machine was, you, sir, would be shocked at how much you, sir, look like that. You're not a communist. You're not any of those things. You're a corporate fascist. All right? You get money from a big corporation. You get standing and all the rest of this shit from a big corporation. That is not left leaning. All right? Why don't you take a little bit of a lead from Pablo Hidalgo and at least try to pretend to hate rich people? Okay? All right. Do you want me to explain how Hitler got to power? I've done it before. I can do it again because you are the card carrying definition of what Joseph Goebbels was. How does that feel? Okay, let's talk about this though. Oh. Itchy brought this up, and I love it. So let's go, la 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 la, tripping back through the memories. Oh, Bryan, you are so silly. I gotta get into here, so hopefully. Anyway, but I want to show you guys this. So anyway, I'm gonna go to the next thing here. So I'm gonna let you guys read these because I'm not gonna read them. Well, I will. Here we are. Oh, there she is. At first, an email. All right. Values have never been a problem for him. So we all remember the underage sex thing that was going on. Okay, here we go. So this is the start of it. Here you go. I'm not even going to read that. Bryan, serious question. Is Kyle Ron a top or bottom? And then this other idiot goes, wait, shorts. Someone like him. Oh no, he's a switch. Well, gross. That's so fucking gross. Bryan, say he's a bottom or I'm blocking. So here he goes on that one. Okay, this is why EVS basically highlighted him on his sex scandal videos and what Itchy did. Let me explain something. Those girls were underage. They were jailbait. They were beyond jailbait. Okay. No, Bobby, they don't. And I am shocked to this day that he has not been visited by the police, that he has not had a father show up to his house, that he has not been told point blank, if you go near my daughter again, by a mother. But this is the kind of thing that, let's see, Bryan Young did, and then we have Jason Ward. And then he has the balls, the neckbeard Bryan has the balls to go after EVS on this sad, pasty-faced. She looks, I mean, this Bria, whatever her name is, looks like a pasty-faced, chalky, vegan, whatever, and she probably is. It's balls to say that, yes, people who called him out, who got this stuff and put it out there so everybody could see it, should be deplatformed. No shame at all for what he did. You know, I think Bryan actually has a kid, a little girl. How would he feel about this? If his daughter was being in something like this? First off, I'm going to say this. Their parents should be embarrassed. All right. I'm going to say this right out loud right here, right now. If I had a daughter that was under 18, she would not have a smartphone. She would not have a social media account. You want to know why? Because of people like Bryan Young. She would not be allowed on Snapchat. She would, their excuse as well. Mom can actually see what they're talking about. Because they're not smart enough to circumvent. Okay, Teenagers are smart. Preteens are smart. They can get around that stuff. So, no, the phone you get is a push button thing, you flip phone. That's what you're getting. A, it's cheaper for me to pay for. B, I don't have to worry about you getting picked up by a 45-year-old fat guy. Okay? All right? This, when he got involved in this, first off, it shows he has absolutely all the common sense of my dog when he decides he must chew on something. There's absolutely, it's all just basically, there's no thought behind it. He just jumps in and says this. All right? He just jumps in and says this. All right? There's absolutely no thought. Like, if one of these girls' parents found out about this, they could call the police and I could really get into a lot of trouble. I honestly don't think the police have ever investigated this. They probably should have. If that had been one of my girls, first off, I'd break her phone. Second of all, I'd find out who he was and get a hold of the local police, our police, have them get a hold of their police, have him investigated. Or I call the FBI. Either way, this shit would end. And oh, by the way, his employer would be told. What is done in my name reflects upon me. So Disney, Lucasfilm, StarWars.com hires, pedophiles? No, it's not an honest mistake. It's not. It's not an honest mistake. You knew how old they were. You knew exactly how old they were. You're just a disgusting pig who shouldn't even be allowed to have your own kid around. Yeah, I went there. I'm mad. This fascist crap has gone on long enough. Let's talk a little bit more about your historical brothers. Ernst Röhm, like little boys. Reinhard Heydrich was rumored to have desires of that nature. And we have Paul Joseph Goebbels, who was, chased actresses around. Oh, and then Julius Streicher, who was also, he was the publisher of the print journal called Der Stürmer that showed vulgar things about the Jews, just disgusting. Those are your brothers. There was no way for anybody who disagreed with them to put that in print. That person would be jailed or executed. Okay? This is what you're asking. You're asking people who disagree with you on a fucking movie that was a shitty movie to be deplatformed. You're trying to chase people who have been Star Wars fans their whole life away because we don't like the garbage, and we know a lot more about it than you do, the franchise than you do. We don't like the garbage being created, and we stood up and we said no. All right, you, Bryan, if you're listening, are going to have to get used to the idea that people have every right to tell you you're an idiot, you're disgusting, you have no right to tell other people how to live their lives or what they can and can't like. And you have no right at all to call for people to be silenced. That is bullshit. That is un-American. All right? You might not like it, but what's the rule? Because I do some stuff on social media. Block and scroll past if you don't like it. Okay? And if you like this garbage, write your own fan fiction. Create your own universe. SJW opera, space opera. But show us how creative you are instead of going in to something that was fine the way it was and trashing it. Let me explain why a lot of us don't like it. First off, when you have someone who is like Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Christina Ariel, Kevin Scott, you, doing stuff for Star Wars, they're not doing it because they like it. When the authors for the High Republic all got together. Here's Claudia Gray. What the fuck? I'm gonna shove this in your faces until she's told you look stupid. You don't love it. What you're doing is turning it into a narcissistic platform for your own bugaboos. Claudia Gray doesn't want to do Star Wars. She wants to see herself in Star Wars. And she wants to change everything so the universe is more comfortable for her. Same thing with Kevin Scott. Same thing with Charles Soule. Same thing with Justina Ireland, the chick with the hat. Has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's narcissistic projection. That's all. And you are part of this. Do you think that's good movie making? Do you think it's good storytelling? Let's talk about Rogue One. Rogue One was an adequate movie. The characters weren't exactly I'd say memorable. I am not a fan of Cassian Andor in any way, shape, or form. My favorite character in the movie was Mads Mikkelsen. Galen Erso was fantastic. I liked Krennic. And I'm going to be one of the few people that said, yeah, I like the CGI Carrie Fisher, but they could have done a deep fake, it would have been better. And I liked Tarkin a lot. So if you get upset at me for saying that, bite me, okay? There wasn't any projection of SJW shit in it, okay? That's why it worked. It's the only movie in the whole, of all 5 of them that worked, okay? But here's Bryan Young. You're not allowed to criticize Kathleen Kennedy and her retarded decisions. Bryan Young goes out of his way. Don't start, dog. Bryan Young goes out of his way to try to get an author, Anthony Ergo, fired from a job because Ergo has a Ruin Johnson parody account on Twitter. And Young just couldn't handle it. What kind of a fucking bullshit move is that? What? Who cares? And you want to know what, Bryan? Because of all this underage sex chat shit, there is a statute of limitations, and I do believe it's still going on right now. Okay? So unless you want to end up, turning into the Star Wars version of Jeffrey Epstein, maybe you should apologize to EVS and Itchy and shut your mouth. Okay? Because here's a rule that Buddhists follow, and I believe in it. Whatever you put out in the universe comes back to you. Okay? That's blowback. Karmic blowback. Okay? You attacking Ergo, then we have this revelation of you with little girls. Come on. And then, now this. I caught you on my LinkedIn following me around. All right? Your excuse was, I didn't know who you were. That's bullshit. That is fucking bullshit. I should have saved those. I didn't. I was so mad. They're not high school dropouts, Bobby. Okay, just... yeah, I caught you. You were following me around. I don't know why. I have nothing to do with you. To me, you're someone, a little odd little person, to be mocked and ridiculed till you finally go off and find something else to infest with your bullshit. Okay? You telling people we don't have a right to be pissed off because of what Rian Johnson, your golden calf, did to Luke Skywalker, did to Han Solo, indirectly, but he did. Fuck you. Okay, how's that one? We have every right to say anything we want about him. All right? Criticism of film has been going on since Thomas Edison rolled the first tape. All right? And you don't like it, maybe you should get a job at Starbucks. Okay? Maybe you should, create your own space opera. okay? You can have it all for your weird little friends, and none of us will care, and we'll be over here having a good time. You'll be over there being miserable, but no, you're over here making us miserable, okay? I don't like it. You know? Why do you do that? Why must you walk into someplace and immediately to make things worse? I mean, this is also a question for Bryan Johnson. Why would you do that? It's also a question for J.J. Abrams, even though I would also say, J.J., you're the laziest, most ignorant film director I have ever come across in my life. Walking in to The Force Awakens, you should have been very well versed on everything. You should have been able to tell Larry Kasdan, no, we're not going to do it that way. Okay? You didn't give a shit. You did it for a paycheck. You didn't, and to say, yeah, you directed Harrison Ford in a movie. Badly, I might add. Then we get The Last Jedi. What a celluloid dumpster fire. And Bryan probably just burst into flames right now. Oh, only. And it was. I mean, it's an open secret in Hollywood that everybody now thinks that. The only reason why it got good reviews then is because the people reviewing it were Access Media and they wanted their in with Disney. That's all. I mean, the reason why you're mad at us is because we don't give a care about that. I don't want free tickets. I've been to a movie premiere. It was a big deal. I would rather, go to a party and, have a nice, quiet gathering and meet these people instead of at a stupid movie premiere. Well, there's no big deal about it. It's nothing. All right. It's a nothing burger. Okay. And, I don't really understand your need to keep defending TLJ. All right. Now I can't imagine you liking The Rise of Skywalker because The Rise of Skywalker was tried to be a direct bitch slap of TLJ. Did it work? No. Why? Because, again, it was lazy writing. I mean, Chris Terrio was so disconnected from the final product. Hey, Anton! He didn't even realize what was in the movie, okay? No one cared. They didn't care. But we're all supposed to go like trained seals. Fuck that shit. Ain't gonna happen. Again, criticizing movies has happened ever since Thomas Edison. So if you can't deal with it, if you can't tolerate it, if you can't actually understand and realize that the difference between gross box office and box office and the fact that those 5 movies barely made $2 billion, maybe. All right? For Disney didn't get 2.06 billion for TFA. They didn't get that. That was gross box office. They got about 750 million. Okay? I would think that someone that knows as much about movies like you, Bryan, would understand that. Would understand net versus gross, but I doubt you even understand when you get your check stub, when you get your taxes from the IRS, what you're even doing and looking at these numbers. Because you don't get to take all that money home. You have to know that, right? All right, the same thing with net versus gross. Okay, so I want you to understand. TLJ was a shitty movie. TFA took a while to admit it, but that was a shitty movie. Tross was a shitty movie. Solo was a disaster of biblical proportions. It was basically Kathleen Kennedy's, what was that? Warren Beatty, Heaven Can Wait. What was that movie came out in the 80s that was just so bad. That just was a total like a trash fire. Yeah, that's her solo was that for her. Okay, we can criticize these movies, and there's nothing you can do about it. We have a right to a platform to do it. You don't like it? What's the rule? Block and scroll past. Block and scroll past. Okay, you know, we have the right to say Alden Ehrenreich was poorly cast. Was it the worst casting I've ever seen in my life? Okay, we have the right to say John Kasdan's script sucked. We have the right to say that Ron Howard was put in an untenable position and couldn't fix the movie. Okay, we have the right to say the movie sucked. Pando Lando? Now I'm sure you thought that was fine because you want to make sure those little girls that you were hitting on like you because that's why you virtue signal. All right, if you're married, does your wife know you do this? Because these are, I have questions, okay? All right, and now you're bitching about Christina Ariel's, which I imagine this is about. Obviously racist comments from years ago. Again, instead of talking about the multiverse that's coming up and fixing what was broken, and talking about how great Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are, Favloni is what I like to call him, we get to talk about this. Now, all right, this is for everybody watching. I watched Mark with the C last night. He's one of our premier people in the Fandom Menace. And he talked about the fact that one of, come on. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. He decided on a fundraiser and he was shocked. I always think this is strange at how many white people showed up and the generosity blew him away. It was a lesson for him to learn. All right. And he basically talked about Christina Ariel as being evil. All right. But here's the thing he found out. She's married to a white man. She has, I don't know, multi-ethnic. I hate any of these words like this because I do find mixed race being racist to say about little kids who are one parent's black and one parent's white. Okay. They have parents. Period. All right. I hate that shit. But she's married to a white man and has kids. Okay, so what's the problem? Can you imagine being her in-laws? You know, evil comes from what you don't understand, what scares you, what makes you feel inadequate. In just my studies of anti-Semitism amongst the Germans, they were very, very, very insecure about how successful the Jews were. Okay, the Jews were in filmmaking, the sciences, medical profession, all the financial stuff, of course, all that stuff. And that resentment was there because they were successful. And when you have in a very small percentage of the population in Germany at the time, before Hitler came to power, that'll build up resentment, okay? And of course, then you have the natural, obvious European anti-Semitism anyway. It was born of things they didn't understand, their insecurities, their fear, their, the lies that, the Jews killed Christ, and all the rest of that. And it's really something to me when I think about it, how this kind of hatred, this bigotry, keeps rolling along in different forms. We still have anti-Semitism. Louis Farrakhan is really, really quite the grand master of it. There are plenty of left-wing Democrats who hate Jews. Of course, I don't know how Steven Spielberg can really justify giving the Democrats money when all they want to do is destroy Israel. But that stuff, the bullshit, Rothschild, conspiracy theory and all the rest of that crap. Hey, Dave. But there certainly is racism, but institutionalized racism is in Hollywood, it's in big business, and it's in DC. Okay, it has nothing to do with the average person. So calling me, EVS, Ichibaka, Jeremy, Mazarius, Dave, Craig, John, etc., Mark with a C, I'm pretty sure it's probably an internalized racism on his part. And Abu Nas calling us racists is first off libel, second of all slander, third of all, it's not going to get you anywhere, okay? Because we're not, and we know we're not. Give you a little bit of history about me. This cross is my gift for my confirmation from my mother-in-law. And it was given to her by her confirmation sponsor. My confirmation sponsor is named Danielle. Danielle is a lovely, beautiful black woman who has 9 children with a white man named Tony. They met when they were in the Army. All right. I find it hard to believe that I have to sit here and I'm defending myself too, over accusations like this, because a bunch of know-nothing, echo chamber dwelling, chicken shit, insecure little piss ants are upset and frightened and angry about something that somebody said on Twitter, or something someone put in a blog, calling one of those angry little piss ants out for being gross. Okay? This has nothing really to do with Itchy or EVS. It has everything to do with Bryan Young being caught, his poor decision making, his lack of shame, his lack of adult discipline, his lack of moral clarity. It has everything to do with that. It has nothing to do with the people saying, "What the hell are you doing?" Okay? Disney has had a lot of trouble. In fact, they've had a vice president, an old one, arrested on pedophilia charges. But there's always, every time there's a dragnet in Florida, you see 4 or 5, cast members and employees being arrested. And in California too. But I never ever thought, and I know that if George still ran Lucasfilm, this wouldn't be happening at all. I never thought in my whole life that I would ever have to wonder about people that actually work for that company, for Lucasfilm. All right? Because George Lucas is a decent man. He has his kids. He created Star Wars so people could, so kids that grew up in my generation, Generation X, we are not boomers, not fucking boomers, don't call me a boomer. So they could have heroes. See, look, follow the hero's journey, all right? And it was a beautiful thing, okay? But he also made it so the adults could enjoy it. My dad loved Star Wars. My dad loved Indiana Jones. I mean, I remember when I finally brought the VHS home to rent, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he sat down and watched it with me after he came home. He and Mom had been out, and she went up to bed, and he just sat down watching it with me. And he liked it. It was something that we could enjoy together, okay? It was something that you can enjoy with your kids. But when my complaints about the Force Awakens, drunk deadbeat dad Han Solo, exactly where in the fuck did that come from? I mean, If you look at the films that came before, none of it made sense, and it didn't connect anything to the original trilogy at all. Okay, it was like, we'll take these three characters, Han, Luke, and Leia, and trash them. We'll drive them into the ground. We'll beat the living shit out of them because we have to sell. Let's see, Ray the bestest ever, Kyle Ron, the patricidal puke boy, you know, Poe for what I mean, and poor Finn got screwed over, but because Disney just had to kiss the ass of racist China. You want to talk about racism? Oh, we could talk about that. The Chinese. And of course, then in TLJ, we had Vice Admiral Gender Studies, whom I hate in a way that is really hard to describe. And the simple reason is this. If there's a character that doesn't belong in Star Wars, and the creator, Rian Johnson, and the blue-haired land whale, Claudia Gray, know this, it's Holdo. Completely does not belong, okay? Hopefully, Jon Favreau agrees and is fixing it, okay? Because she's got to go. I mean, she's just terrible. And of course, we got Rose, Chairman Mao's fourth wife, Tico, spewing, which doesn't make any sense. Maoist, Marxist shit, and the side trip to whatever, because she and Finn were thrown together, so because of Reylo, which also doesn't belong in Star Wars because Star Wars isn't Twilight. You know, but we're all, we're not allowed to criticize. We're not allowed to go, holy fuck, what was that? And, I've already talked about the horrible, horrible decision making from the moment they decided they were going to do a Han Solo movie. And of course, Tross, which was just bad. The question is, are people's education and ability to actually watch a film so bad now? Their attention spans, everything is so bad now that they don't know that they're watching a terrible, terrible movie, terrible, terrible story. Is it me? Is it? Because I'm like, I mean, these movies suck. When I grew up, watching the Ten Commandments and, The Searchers and McClintock and the Bond movies and, The Man with No Name and, Kelly's Heroes, which was a great movie. The Wind and the Lion and, Lawrence of Arabia, with Peter O'Toole and all these fantastic films that went on. Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz, Casablanca, probably the greatest script ever written. I mean, the perfect script in a way that I can't even. Okay. So when I go to a movie like TFA, after having seen the original trilogy and the prequels, and then I go to TFA and go, this is bad. Don't want to say it's bad because Harrison Ford, my favorite character, actors in it, but it's bad. Okay, it's just bad. It's bad. Do you understand? It's bad. And TLJ comes out, and you're hoping that Rian Johnson's a good enough director that he can actually fix what JJ broke. No, the little bitch makes it worse. Totally ruins Leia. Introduces Vice Admiral Purple Hair, who doesn't need to be in the movie. There's no reason for her to be in there, but for diversity and representation, or whatever. And then, that movie just started basically the collapse of the franchise, and proved that, even after Rogue One, which was actually a pretty good movie, despite Kathleen Kennedy, that, she didn't know what the hell she's doing, okay? And then we get a soy war story. Now, I can see little Bria going, "Ah, she's a calling me names. Come on here right now. Get on here and talk to me. Say it to my face, okay? You're not gonna. If you're watching, you're not gonna, and the reason why. And if Bryan Young's watching, he's not going to either because he is a chicken shit, okay? He's a little bully chicken shit, okay? Then we get Tross, which was horrible, okay? No story. None of these movies had any story that made sense with everything else. The casting of the other characters was horrible. The original cast was abused, like what was done to them should be a crime. The special effects were fine, but you can only put so much lipstick on a pig, right? And all it was a bunch of disjointed scenes connecting nothing to nothing, and that's it. But you guys like it. You think there's a story there, okay? No, there wasn't. There wasn't. There was never a story there. You know, and the thing about it that really makes me angry is that you people, you SJW morons, you ignorant, you're trash. You're basically ignorant white trash because you're all white. I mean, you know, screaming about racism. When's the last time Bryan Young attacked the Chinese for insisting that Finn be disappeared, almost disappeared from the posters? Okay. Oh, and I know something else about that. Okay. Chinese don't like seeing Asian girls with black men. So that one of the reasons probably why TLJ crashed and burned in China, the bullshit Rose Tico side trip. Okay. You know, you want to talk about racism? You want to point out racism? Ask Chairman Z. All right? I dare ya. Because it's... The Chinese are awful. Awful. All right? But as far as, you know, you guys defending Ariel, which I pretty much was sure you would, and then talking about racism and calling out Itchy and Ethan, where's the proof? I want the proof, okay? Where's the proof? And if you bring out the fact that Ethan was basically goofing off over the Rose Tico figures, it's an action figure. He has never said a bad word about Kelly Marie Tran. And, you know, he's only been very, very, very complimentary of her, okay? And the reason why Kelly Marie Tran left Instagram wasn't because she was getting racist shit. And we found out that was Jason Ward doing that. She left because of what the media was doing to her. Just like Ahmed Best with when he was being attacked during the prequels. But it was the media. It wasn't the fans. It was the media. But you would actually have to do your homework, have an objective brain, and a critical brain, the brain that can critically think, to understand what that was about. Okay? All right? So, yeah, I wanted to get this off my chest because I'm really pissed. All right? These attacks, these threats to deplatform people have gone on long enough. Okay? You guys won nothing during the election. Okay? You haven't really, I mean, there was actually quite the red wave in the state houses. Okay? Republicans who voted against Trump and have caused a lot of trouble are being censored by their own state parties. Okay? So you don't really have a box to stand on that's any solid. All right? You really, really don't. But here you are demanding, like a Nazi, like a good Munich citizen in 1936, that two people who criticized the fucking death of their favorite beloved franchise because of the decision making by a woman who never should have been. All right? You want them deplatformed because you can't deal with the fact that they are right. All right? But I don't expect people who have never been raised or been taught to think critically and objectively to understand what I'm saying. Okay? Because you're a bunch of hardcore, fanatical fascists. And, you can sit there and say, scream about being, leftists and radicals and Antifa, BLM, but you're fascists. I mean, you are. I mean, let me tell you something about me. I'm a libertarian. I don't give a shit what you do. Just don't do it around me. None of my business. If you're gay, I have gay friends. They're like, please leave us alone. I mean, you could try doing that once. You could try not making it a big deal. Okay? Who cares who cares what happens behind closed doors? It's none of your business. And all right. Second of all, stop looking at people with skin color and just start accepting them as people. You could try doing that. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and bang the drum for Christianity, but tell you one thing, if you actually believe that God made man in his image, you wouldn't see race at all. All right? It's because I don't see it. I don't. It doesn't exist in my world. And it never existed in my world. Okay? But I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I mean, no one talked about it anymore. No, I mean, it was until 2008, and then all of a sudden it became a big deal again. And I'm like, and it's women like Kathleen Kennedy who are actually the problem cause, the ones that actually cause the systematic racism. It really is. I mean, ask Cameron. It's always some woke, lefty, white woman demanding things. Okay? And it's got to stop. But what really has to stop right now, and I want, if you're watching, Bryan, I really think you should apologize to EVS and Itchy. Okay? And then take a good hard look at yourself. I'm pretty sure you don't know how to do that because critical thinking and self-awareness is beyond your grasp. But agreeing with a crazy, obviously mentally ill girl that people should be erased and canceled because they don't like The Last Jedi and they were criticizing a obvious racist and Christina Ariel. I mean, I'm not the one that called her evil. A black man did. All right? A black man did. All right? If you guys want to see it, the Gospel according to Mark with a C, go watch that video. I just thought she was a racist. But when I discovered that she had a white family, I'm like, how would you like to be her in-laws? Anybody want to kind of put your minds around that one? I mean, but it's not Mark's fault for pointing out that the fact that she's got a major malfunction. It's not EVS's fault for pointing that out. And basically, he went after you guys for trying to cancel Gina Carano. Why? Why? You guys should be celebrating her. But because she's not virtue signaling and has her own mind and can actually think objectively, you don't like it. Leave her alone then. Okay? Mark Hamill pisses me off. Okay? I don't want him to be deplatformed. I just ignore him. You could do that. Again, block and ignore. Scroll past. It's real easy. It's like if you don't want to watch this, you can flip the channels. Or, as one of your great victims, Justina Ireland, don't buy the book. Because, again, That's your choice. And you guys made the choice to notice and bitch, okay? Made the choice of threatening to have people who disagree with you deplatformed. And again, that is bullshit. That is a dick move. That's unconstitutional. As far as I'm concerned, it's unconstitutional. And it's un-American. If you guys can't agree to disagree and scroll past or block, then you got problems. All right. You have major league problems. And I really think if I can find it, I'm going to write a very pointed letter to Bob Iger. And it's going to go to him because I've got connections. But he's got to clean this up because this is getting out of hand. All right. All you people are doing, and I know you're doing this deliberately, and I know Kennedy, here's my theory. All this shit was started by Kennedy because she wants to take away any attention and all the good vibes from the Mandalorian. That's it. That's all this is about. Okay. I theorize that, but I bet you $1,000 I'm right. But Disney has to clean this up. This shit's gone on long enough. All right. First off, who hired this woman to be the host of that show? Why wasn't she told to clean up her Twitter account before it was announced? Who made sure people saw those tweets? All right? Because I'm going to tell you something now. Itchy might have found them and posted them. But I got to say something. I had never heard of her until now. And it would have dawned on me to go looking back in her back tweets, and I don't care about that. But the fact of the matter is, she said some really racist crap that has to be called out. Employers usually look at social media. I would think that seeing that would have either caused Disney to say, delete those tweets, delete this tweet, go back and delete all of them. In fact, delete your entire Twitter history. Or they didn't know. And she got hired through on Kennedy's side. And they did know, and they knew. Oh yeah, they're gonna stir the pot. But and they knew it was going to cause trouble. She went with her showing up, and they knew that. I mean, Justina Ireland's already caused trouble, right? They knew, and they wanted it to happen to take away attention from Favreau and Filoni and The Mandalorian and Luke Skywalker's return. All right. But I'm going to leave you guys with this and listen very closely. Doomcock talked about a rumor, and I know other people have too. And I believe it because seriously, this thing has come out in many different places that Kennedy told Iger if they were to remove her, she'd burn the place down around as she went out the door. Right now, Lucasfilm is on fire. There's a rumor going on, I don't know if I agree with it or not, that she's supposed to be out at the end of this month, which is coming up. It's what, the 24th? I don't think she is. For some reason, she's still there till Indy 5 is done. That's my concrete opinion on that, because there's no reason to think she's going. But there is that rumor, and we got this shit going down. And of course, if Disney fires or forces Ariel out, they'll be considered racist. If they force Justina Ireland to apologize or basically buy out her contract and give her the Evo, they'll be considered racist. Meanwhile, Kathleen Kennedy's hiding behind their skirts. Think about that. This has everything to do with a frickin' planned assault on the fans, on Jon Favreau, because they're attacking Gina Carano. She doesn't care. What I'd like to do is I'd like to see Bryan Young go after her to her face. Drunk 3PO would be on the floor. He'd be laughing so hard. I'd be like, all right, just wait a minute. I need my wine and my popcorn and proceed. All right. That would be really funny. I mean, she'd probably pick him up, put him on a bar and say, here, Bryan, have a beer. I mean, he's that big. I mean, he's a little dude, you know? And she's a tough chick. But it would be really funny. She'd pull a Jane Wayne on him. But, you know, but they're going after her too. So they're basically kind of going after the Mandalorian, okay? Looks to me like Kennedy's involved. You guys decide. I gotta go because I gotta power this thing up. And I'm over an hour, so I've been on here long enough. I'll see you guys around the galaxy. Remember, tip the Wookiee bartenders 20%. And no droids and bounty hunters, no Raylos, no Ray Nobodies, no Kyle Ron, Daddy Butchers. You start a fight, take it back in the alley. Gunfights, take this shit out in the street. And I'll see you all around. Behave. And if Bryan Young does see this or was in here, I really wish he'd drop me a line in the comments. Because I'd love to have a dialogue. Little stalker weirdo. See you guys around.